And you know what time it is? It's time for KP's Video News. KP's Video News, y'all. KP's Video News, y'all.
Hey, what's going on, folks? It's trying to take a little siesta here. All right. But there ain't no time for sleeping when it's time for the news. That's right. So the more things change, the more they stay the same. And here we go again with another rotten routine. Just jumped off. Illinois police kill an unarmed black teen and shot his girlfriend in the stomach. Police in Waukegan, Illinois, shot an unarmed teenager, black man, and critically injured his girlfriend on the night of October 20th. And the family of the 19-year-old MARCELLIS Stinnette said he was sitting in a car with his girlfriend and mother of his child, TAFARRA Williams, when police shot and killed him. Stinnette's family said he died at the scene, while police said he died at the hospital. Williams' family alleged the police shot her in the stomach and hand, for which she remains hospitalized. When I got there, she said, "Mama, they just started shooting us for nothing." Williams' mother, Cliftina Johnson, stated, "My daughter said she put her hand up, and if she didn't put her hand up, she said she would be dead. Mama, I would be dead too." Police said the incident began when they received a report of a suspicious vehicle just before midnight on Tuesday, where families of both victims said they were just sitting in their car outside Williams' mother's home. Cops said when an officer approached the car to investigate, Stinnette and Williams fled the scene. After another officer reportedly spotted the car nearby moments later, and when he approached the car, the couple on foot, the car reversed. The officer fired his pistol, claiming that he was in fear for his safety, according to the statement given by the Waukegan Police Department. And witness Daryl Moser said Williams appeared clearly frightened and complied with the officer. We've got conflicting stories here. The police officer got out of the car. When he told him to stop, he told her to stop. She was scared. She put up her hands and started yelling, "Why you got a gun?" She started screaming, and he started shooting. So the police said they found no weapons in the couple's car. They found no weapons. 2 officers involved in the fatal shooting have reportedly been placed on administrative leave as Illinois State Police investigate. And Waukegan police submitted body camera and squad car video to the Illinois State Police. And the mayor of Waukegan made an emotional plea for residents to stay calm after police opened fire on a car occupied by an unarmed young black couple, killing and wounding the other. Mayor Sam Cunningham said he is close personal friends with the grieving families of the couple shot on Tuesday night in the Chicago suburb, prompting outrage and plans for a large protest on Thursday. Relatives identified the couple as 19-year-old MARCELLIS Stinnette, who was killed, and like I said earlier, TAFARRA Williams, the mother of his child, she was pregnant. She was pregnant, and she got shot in the stomach. Lake County Coroner Dr. Howard Cooper confirmed Stinnette's identity on Thursday and said preliminary autopsy results indicated he died from injuries due to gunshot. "This is tough on Waukegan. This is tough on the community," Mayor Cunningham said at a news conference. "I know these families personally." He said Stinnette was the grandson of Josie Stinnette, a woman he lived across the street from and grew up with. And he said he grew up with Williams' mother, Cliftina Johnson, and to be able to speak to them about this, yes, it hurts, said an emotional Cunningham, who in 2017 became Waukegan's first African-American mayor. it just doesn't hurt me. The police department, it hurts Waukegan. It hurts the whole city of Waukegan. He added, yes, I'm nervous. I'm nervous because there are a lot of uncertainty out there. There are a lot of rumors flying around. And I'm nervous for Waukegan. We've seen this play throughout this country. It just rips through the communities, and it takes years to rebuild. And since May 25th, the death of George Floyd, a 46-year-old black man who was killed by the police officer when I pinned his neck to the ground with his knee, with Floyd crying out, "I can't breathe," and many protests, including some that turned violent and led to looting or vandalism, have erupted across the United States. And the Waukegan shooting comes less than a month after no homicide charges were filed in the death of Breonna Taylor, involving 3 white Louisville Police Department officers. However, Waukegan is just 15 miles south of Kenosha, Wisconsin, a city that erupted in protests that turned violent following the August 23rd police-involved shooting of Jacob Blake, a 26-year-old black man who was shot multiple times in the back and paralyzed. Johnson said her daughter, who was expected to survive bullet wounds to the stomach and hand, told her the police officer opened fire on the car she was driving for nothing, and that Stinnett died in the passenger seat next to her. She said, "Mama, they just started shooting at us for nothing." And my daughter said she put her hands up, and if she didn't put her hands up, she said she would be dead also. The Waukegan Police Department Commander Navarro said the shooting unfolded just before midnight on Tuesday when an officer went to investigate a suspicious vehicle that fled when he approached. Navarro said a second officer spotted the car and pulled it over. The officer exited his vehicle, and the vehicle that he was investigating began to reverse toward the officer, Navarro alleged. The officer then pulled out his duty weapon and fired into the vehicle that was reversing. Both occupants were struck. He said the female driver was wounded, and the male passenger was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. No weapons were found in the car, and Navarro declined to release the name of the officer involved in the shooting. And he said the officer who initially approached the car and the one who opened fire have each been placed on administrative leave. And he also said, like I said earlier, that the footage from the body cam and squad car dash cams turned over to Illinois State Police, but declined to say where any footage captured the shooting. We're all also upset. It is something our community, our police department has great concern over. And Navarro was forced to give 2 news conferences on Tuesday after the first one outside the police department became chaotic when friends and relatives of Stinnett and Williams began interrupting him, yelling, "He's lying, he's lying. Why'd you shoot him?" And the second news conference was inside the police station, away from the supporters of the couple who organized a march on Thursday from the scene of the shooting to the police department headquarters. Lake County State's Attorney Mike Neiman said he will review all the findings and if the investigation to decide whether charges were warranted. And however, in 2015, Neiman, a Republican, came under great criticism when he declined to file charges against a white Zion, Illinois police officer who fatally shot a 17-year-old Justice Howell, a black teenager from Waukegan, in the back. Now, said at the time the officer was justified in using deadly force. Oh boy, it's always the same stuff, man. Yep. Oh boy, I'm telling you, man, this whole situation stinks. Anyway, back, Mayor Cunningham, a Democrat, pleaded with people calling for justice to wait for the facts to come out. If it comes out to where there was something that happened, where we did something wrong, we'll deal with it, Cunningham said. I hope this doesn't cause us to be at a point where you distrust the city or the police or each other. I hope it's a time that we can stand together and say we're going to find out the truth. And telling you now, man, Guys, they don't want to know the truth. They really don't want to know the truth. And you know it, and I know it too. So we have a now retired Portland police officer got indicted for reportedly hitting alleged looter with a police van. And so a now retired Portland police officer has been indicted in connection with allegations he struck a man while driving an unmarked police vehicle in June during the night of protests in the Oregon City, according to the union official and recent report. Portland Police Bureau Officer Groshong was indicted Wednesday on charges of assault, misconduct, and failure to perform the duties of a driver for hitting an alleged thief with a van as the man fled from the crime scene. Groshong reportedly had 27 years on the job when he retired in August. Brent Weisberg, the spokesman for the county DA's office, stated that he had no information to provide. An attorney identified in the report as representing Groshong did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Groshong was allegedly conducting a late-night undercover surveillance in northwest Portland on June 15th when he and a PPB sergeant heard what sounded like breaking glass, according to the report. He pulled up to a nearby skateboard shop in the unmarked PPB van and saw at least one person stealing merchandise. Footage obtained by the outlet shows the van clipping one of the accused thieves as he flees, causing the man to fall to the pavement. The video shows the man return to his feet and continue running. The Portland Police Association said Wednesday press conference that Groshong is innocent until proven otherwise and was driving through the mayhem of a night of looting in downtown Portland at the time of the crash. Yep. So here they go, man. A couple of blocks away, an independent witness observed the male run in front of the witness's vehicle. To release further states, the witness reported seeing no signs of injury or fatigue as the suspect ran away. Police later arrested the man, but the DI's office declined to prosecute him, according to the release. Instead of the suspect facing consequences for looting, this veteran police officer found himself targeted with criminal charges. And of course, the union also said the outside prosecutor who presented the grand jury with the case failed to provide all the facts. So they're basically trying to protect the fact that this cat, just basically ran somebody over with his van. Just ran him over. He's a protester. I'm getting ready to run him over. Yep. So this is an update on the Breonna Taylor case, and two anonymous members of the grand jury in the Breonna Taylor case who spoke out about deliberations this week had no agenda other than pursue the truth. That's right. Their disclosures have spurred calls for a new prosecutor who attorneys for Taylor's family hope will handle the case differently than the Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron, whose office took over the case from local prosecution in May. Taylor, 26, was killed during a botched raid on a Louisville apartment in March 2013. Months later, Cameron announced that none of these three officers who shot into the apartment would be charged directly with her death. And one officer was charged with wanton endangerment for firing into a nearby apartment. After securing permission from a judge to speak publicly about the grand jury proceedings, an anonymous grand juror said Tuesday in a statement released by her attorney that the panel was steered away from considering homicide charges and left in the dark about self-defense laws during deliberations. A second juror later backed that account, which contradicts how Cameron portrayed the indictment on September 23rd. At this point, if Daniel Cameron wanted to actually see justice to take place, he would have voluntarily recused himself of the case, Lanita Baker, an attorney who represented Taylor's family in a civil suit, stated on Wednesday. The Taylor's family legal team, which has four for weeks expressed disapproval of Cameron, hopes to have an application filed for appointment of a new prosecutor within a few days. Baker's counsel, Sam Aguilar, stated on Tuesday. An FBI investigation into the shooting is ongoing, and a 12-person grand jury was not presented any charges other than the 3 wanton endangerment charges against Detective Hankinson, the juror said in a written statement, which was shared. And the grand jury did not have homicide offenses explained to them. The grand jury never heard anything about those laws. Self-defense or justification was never explained either. I was not surprised by the statement. The jurors were not given those charges, Baker said. What I was surprised by was the depth of the lies that Daniel Cameron told to America when he said the grand jury was getting instructed on all of the different levels of homicide. The second grand jury who came forward issued a separate statement that asserted that the jury was only allowed to consider wanton endangerment charges against Hankinson. No opportunity to consider anything else was permitted, she said, and they both stated. And the juror statements came almost a month after Cameron announced at a press conference that the grand jury had declined to bring homicide charges against the Louisville police officers. So Taylor's boyfriend, and who Kenneth Walker fired a warning shot at the ground, believing intruders were at the apartment. The bullet wounded Mattingly in the leg. Now something new. I never heard that before. So this is what Walker stated, that he fired a warning shot at the ground, believing the intruders were in his apartment, and the bullet ricocheted and wounded Mattingly in the leg. The grand jurors indicted Hankinson for allegedly endangering the occupants of a neighboring apartment, white neighbors in the neighboring apartment who were in the line of fire, although they were not hit. The truth is now before us, and the facts have been examined, and the grand jury comprised of peers and fellows have made a decision. That's what Cameron stated. The public later heard a very different version. That's a flat-out lie, Baker stated. I don't know any other way to phrase it. And Glogauer stated in an email statement that his clients have no desire to affect any potential outcomes with Breonna Taylor, but rather to ensure that the proceedings they participated in are accurately portrayed to her family and to the public. The accounts of the proceedings, a legal expert stated, raised questions about the role Cameron's office played in the grand jury proceedings. The prosecutor is only there to advise the grand jury and to draft indictments. Criminal defense attorney John Stewart, who formerly served as assistant district attorney in Kentucky, stated, the prosecutor is not there to run the grand jury. In fact, the grand jury wanted to. They had the authority, but nobody ever told him this, to kick the prosecutor out. We don't need you. All we want to do is draft the indictments. We don't want you to give us legal advice, and we're going to determine who should be indicted. Stewart said it seems that Cameron thought it was his grand jury and not the people's grand jury. And it struck me odd that apparently his attorney general saw his role differently than what I understood and knew the role of a prosecutor and grand jury should be. Stewart, who is now based in Adams, Tennessee, stated, under Kentucky law, if a local prosecutor has a conflict with the case, the person must inform the attorney general's office, which can direct another prosecutor to take the case. In this instance, Cameron's office took the case after Jefferson County prosecutor recused himself. Once Mr. Wine announced that he had a conflict, Stewart said then there's a mechanism that is set to allow the attorney general or the local prosecutor to work out with another prosecutor to take the case. If that didn't work, then attorney general steps in and he can appoint someone else. Since Cameron has already indicated his bias, he should not be able to name himself as a special prosecutor. He needs to find one of the local prosecutors that would take the case, and I don't think there's going to be a local prosecutor in Kentucky that will get close to this case the way it has been handled. And so Cameron's office refused to comment on the situation. And Telling you, man, it's just more and more evidence is coming out in this Breonna Taylor case. Every day is some new evidence. So this is the last story I want to do, and this is mass graves found in search for 1921 Tulsa massacre victims. So I was telling you about that, the Black Wall Street massacre of 1921 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And researchers found mass graves Wednesday in Tulsa as they searched for victims of the 1921 race massacre in Oklahoma City. Archaeologists found the remains of at least 11 different people in a single unmarked grave under a city cemetery. And the historians had identified the cemetery as a likely burial spot for the victims of the 1921 massacre. Crews worked on a second test excavation and core sampling in the search for the remains at Oaklawn Cemetery. Several individuals have been placed and buried in that location. This constitutes a mass grave, the lead archaeologist stated and said at a press conference. And Stackleback noted that researchers had not confirmed that the people found in the mass grave were killed in the massacre. Stackleback said her team discovered several wood coffins with one person inside each, and the researchers found human remains in a single wood coffin Tuesday, and then explained the search from there. After that, they found the next 10. So this, like I said before, this is 1921. White mobs led by the Ku Klux Klan descended on a thriving black business district known as the Black Wall Street. Historians estimate that they killed 300 black Tulsans and left 10,000 people homeless in one of the deadliest racist attacks in U.S. history. Nearly 100 years later, and next year will be the 100-year anniversary, Mayor G.T. Barnum promised to resume searching for the victims, and the two likely grave sites were identified. Oaklawn Cemetery, the site of Wednesday's discovery, and the popular spot for homeless people in the city known as the Canes. Researchers and work crews look at items pulled from the ground, and July 2020 search of Oaklawn failed as researchers only found a field-end creek, but digging resumed this week in a new area of the cemetery, and that's where they found focused and reported burial site of the original 18 named for the burial bill 18 Negroes from 1921. So this is I don't know what to say about this particular situation, whether that's a good thing, a bad thing, or what, but anyway, they found that one mass grave, so that means there's a whole lot of other mass graves out there that need to be discovered and they need to be found. Oh well, back to my siesta.